Hi, guys. Welcome back to a new episode of KopiScope, your podcast for business leaders and influencers here in Malaysia. And today, I have quite an interesting guest. He is a bit crossover different topics. So his name is Mr. Zaim Mohzani, and he is the co-founder of the Nation Building School here in Malaysia, which started off to be an NGO, and I understood now it developed actually into a quite serious coaching business. We hear more about it. He's also the senior director at the KSI Strategic Institute, taking care of external relations. So he's a multi-talent, I would say. So welcome, Zaim, to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I alluded a little bit to Nation Building School. I mean, that's a mouthful. That sounds quite ambitious in itself already. And it exists already since 2015, so it's already 10 years anniversary already happened.
Yeah, 11 years.
And it started as a social enterprise, if I may say, something to do pro bono, to help young people find their way into the career path.
Sure.
But I'm sure many stuff happened over the last 10 years. So why you don't give us a bit of a rundown what Nation Building School is all about, and then we take it from there.
Sure. So it's called Nation Building School because in 2015 we had a hypothesis that Malaysia had a leadership deficit amongst young people. We felt that, and I think this is backed by data as well. Many surveys have shown that young people at the time, Gen Y, millennials, were feeling disillusioned. They felt that they can't make a difference, specifically in governance policy. And so we created this thing, and we created a platform for people to meet and learn about civic awareness, how to take action, how to become a change agent. Sounds corny now, but back then it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the more important one is meet people from different disciplinaries in different industries. So we had many events on whatever you name it, right? From tech, media, finance, you name it, like diplomacy, international relations. We had many events, and thousands of young people would meet at our events from different industries. And truly, it was nation building school because people felt that by joining this and being able to feel like they can make a difference, that is nation building. And the school part is, how do I teach you to become a more effective change agent, activist, and civic warrior, so that you can contribute to your organization, community, and nation.
Civic warrior. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So what is interesting to me is, as you say, already 10 years ago there was a hunger among the young people to get some guidance, to get some sort of help in finding their path, and that was not yet at the age of AI. That was not yet where we looking, and I think, in a much bigger disruption.
That's right.
That the labor market is facing.
That's right.
So I could imagine that the requirement for what you do must now peak like crazy. What is happening on that end?
That's right. At the time, 2015, 2016, the word emerging technologies by Professor Klaus Schwab, World Economic Forum, it was new. He coined the term fourth industrial revolution.
Yep.
And at the time, 2015, 2016, the biggest tech in Malaysia was fintech.
Is that?
Yeah, financial technology, yeah.
Okay.
Because I remember this because we hosted a massive forum on fintech. And it was well attended. And I mean, that was the thing, right? Oh, it's going to change the face of banking, right?
Yeah.
In 2015, 2016. And then fast forward to 2026, it's not just AI, right? But I think it's a slew of things. I mean, you have a confluence of Web3, blockchain, IoT, and now AI, right? This has all come into fruition and shaped the discourse that we have today. And to your point, I think people are feeling AI anxiety. They feel that this technology might disrupt the way of life and the way of work. And I think we work with young people and people generally speaking at a grassroots level, community level, and we try to make sense of the noise. And we do it through various ways. So we do a lot of workshops, and we also try to dispel myths on AI, which I think is super interesting because if you follow the news, you get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And we try to make sense. I'm not a technologist, but I learned AI when I was in university
Right.
about 7 years ago. And as a non-technical person, I think that foundation, that working knowledge of AI is super important so that when you talk to people, you can sort of allay their fears when it comes to technology like AI.
So now you're referring a bit to also maybe the research you have done on US, China, the race of AI.
Yeah.
And that was quite a few years ago.
Many years ago, yeah.
How you would see where we stand now at that? Who's having the nose one step ahead?
Yeah, so US, China, EU, the superpower that we don't talk enough about, they are all vying for, I suppose, AI dominance, if we're being honest about this. And obviously, America is always ahead of this, right? In many ways. You're familiar with DeepSeek that came out 2025, and the R3 reasoning model was huge at the time. But if you look at now, 2026, I mean, the front runners are the AI pioneers, Anthropic Claude, OpenAI ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini, Meta, Llama, or whatever they call it these days, right?
Yeah.
These are pioneers, right? And Grok, SpaceX, Elon Musk, Grok AI, pioneers, absolutely pioneers. And I think if you look at the civilian race, because my thesis was on more of weaponized lethal autonomous weapon systems, LAWS, which is a completely different topic, but I also looked at the civilian arms, AI arms race.
Right.
And US, because they pump in so much money in many decades ago, they are seeing the fruits of that fruition. But China, I think to their credit, is producing talents, AI talents like nobody's business. You look at Alexander Wang, right? The one that Mark Zuckerberg hired. Parents are from China. And if you look at the AI scientists, the top scientists, most of them are from China.
Yes.
Technology applications US, AI talents China. But eventually, what I see is I think America will dominate this space. And when I say America, I mean companies, big tech, big tech companies, I think will dominate this space for the many years to come. But you never know with technology, anything can and does change in a very short period of time.
It is, and I'm amazed about the China's advancement in a short time. Also on the topic of humanoids, so AI embedded into robotics and doing, I've seen I think it was last week or so, a video about, and it's very down to earth, pragmatic work. It was a robot changing car tires. So you go to a workshop, right? You put it up, and then you have changing the tires. It was a robot. So it's something that you think the least about that when you think about AI, right?
Yeah.
And they are toying around with stuff like that. So really,
that's crazy. Yeah.
physical jobs are being impacted.
That's right.
You just give it time, and then I think you will actually see that as
I can't wait for
as a
it to
commercial thing.
I can't wait for it to come to Malaysia and do it to my car.
So that's something to watch out for.
Yeah.
You also mentioned that you demystify AI.
Yeah.
How you call it, myths?
Myths.
So what is the biggest one that you think people should get right?
If you look at AI discourse from the time GPT-3 came out in November 2022, I call them AI prophets. So you think of Sam Altman, Dario Amadeo, and to some extent Microsoft and Google. They say things like AI is going to change everything. 2023, right? AI is going to change everything. Your life will never be the same again. And then 2024, AI will change the way you work. Right? Oh wow, okay. I'm waiting for this, right? And 2025 was the year the AI agents appear. And every single year you hear things like your life is going to be disrupted permanently by AI. It's 2026. We have not seen like society-wide, nationwide, global seismic changes. And the reality is because a lot of these AI prophets, if you're being honest about this, is they are using it for marketing purposes. They have to fundraise because these LLMs, they burn through a lot of cash, right? It's not easy to maintain, right? And so marketing, I think when you believe the hype, you get anxious. And I think the reality with AI is it's a technology like any other. It goes through the the law of diffusion, right? It takes time. It takes time for this technology to see a real impact. It does take time. And then I'd like to share this story. 2024, I was at this workshop. And this workshop is a paid workshop, but it was full of high-level corporate leaders, CEOs, and entrepreneurs, right? From Malaysia and Singapore. And the trainer at the front, he was like, okay, guys, I want all of you to turn on your ChatGPT and do this exercise. And then like 99% people don't know, like, what's that? Right? And that's the reality, right? I would hazard a guess, if we were to do the same thing today, right, in that same room, I would say 50% would be like, I've heard of that. How do you use it?
Yeah.
And that's the reality on the ground.
Yeah.
Is that because we live in a bubble, we think everyone's using Claude and ChatGPT, right? Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. People may use it, but they use it once or twice.
Yeah.
Right? But they don't use it regularly, like every day. And so we have to be clear-eyed and honest about AI, because it's not so much. There are bigger issues like environmental issues, governance issues, privacy issues. But the reality is AI literacy is a massive challenge in our country, in the region. People just don't know how to use this thing. And then we're talking about it's going to impact everything, it's going to change everything. Calm down.
Yeah, and I think you touched something very valid. AI at the moment, at best, to my estimation, when I look into the environments that we have here in the industry, at best they apply for workflows enhancement.
Yeah.
At best.
Yeah.
Very often they just use it as a better, I don't know, a Google machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Or creating images.
Yeah.
But if you ask, how did you embed this AI tool to improve your workflows? I don't know, booking workflows or payment workflows and so on.
Yeah.
I think the margin of companies really utilizing it comes down very much so.
That's right.
And if you look into Malaysia, I think everybody knows 90+% are small, medium-sized enterprises.
That's right.
I'm not so sure how structured their processes are to begin with.
Yeah.
To be able to actually utilize and leverage AI. Right?
Exactly. You're absolutely right. I think you hit it on the nail, actually. I think, and to government's credit, they understand there's a gap here. They understand, and that's why we have NAYO, right? The person that you interviewed, National AI Organization. You have the Ministry of Digital as well, right? That looks into this. You're absolutely right, because that gap in what we read and what we do, it's real, right? We don't talk enough about this. Like, yes, just because we know this thing is there doesn't mean we're actually using it.
Yeah.
And in the discourse in this country, Malaysia, 2026, it's still prompting. It's not workflow automations. It's still, how do you use Claude the right way? And how, context, character, stuff that they've been talking about 3-4 years ago in the US, and we're doing it in this country. But I think the reality is, I think we need to be pragmatic in how we use it. I think there are use cases in the future that will disrupt many jobs, many industries, for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think if we look at history, I think this technology is, I suspect, could be like any other technology that takes time to be adopted, and the diffusion will take time. The same way you had, I was talking about fintech earlier, right?
Yeah.
Digital banks now are becoming normal in Malaysia, but it took a long time. 2016 was the fintech wave in Malaysia. 2016.
Okay.
2026, you now have digital banks, but that took a long time. I suspect it's probably going to be the same thing with AI. 2022 was GPT-3, right?
Yeah.
It might take a few more years until we see a higher usage of AI amongst companies, and not just SMEs. If I just add a contrarian point, I think even among public listed companies in Malaysia, Bursa 100.
Yeah.
If you look at, if you were to maybe just do an audit of these guys, I'm pretty sure the AI use is not up there as well. It's probably low. And then I think it's no one's fault. It's really no one's fault. I think they're also learning this technology as we go along.
Yeah.
And that MIT study that came out 2025 showed that 90% of experimental AI, LLMs, generative AI experiments are not profitable, right? And I think it's no one's fault. It's because I think of the hype. When you have so much expectations of this thing, you're bound to be disappointed. So I think if you adjust expectations, you take your time, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. I think the big difference I see when it comes to the industry and applying AI is when you, as a consumer, if AI is giving you a result that is not 100% perfect, you can live with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's no harm. You know, the report has a bug. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. But if you apply AI on the industrial shop floor where you command machines to do certain stuff and you get it wrong, even if you get it 95% right, if you 5%, let's say the recipe in a food and beverage factory is getting wrong, you may end up with a product that might harm humans, right?
Absolutely.
So I understand the worry in the industry to apply. They want to see this A, working, and B, having a return on invest that is, palatable.
Absolutely.
Or not doing just AI for the sake of, is this really saving me money?
Absolutely.
And can I scale it? And I think this is where we still not yet arrived. We still have to convince that it works.
That's right.
And then show that there actually is a return on investment.
That's right.
But coming back to the people that you coach on career and so on, I imagine that they are coming to you with anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
Be it be the youngsters, but also be it the middle-aged guys that need to move on to a next job and say, oh, I'm now looking for my next job.
Yeah.
I know AI is a requirement. I don't even know how to use GPT. What I'm supposed to do. So what do you tell these people?
So let's go through the high level data first, right? 72% of young people, Gen Z, they feel that AI is going to take over their jobs in the next 5 years. And so that basically means AI anxiety. Now the data is from America, Western countries, but I don't think it's that far in Malaysia where we are. So AI anxiety is real. So a majority of young people feel anxious about AI because it's going to take over their jobs.
Yeah.
Amongst older people, I think there's probably anxiety as well. They may not say it openly, but I think they also feel that they should know how to use this technology when they're dealing with people that are using this technology. I get a lot of people on a daily basis that come to me and ask this question. And the common theme, I mean, more older than younger, but the common theme is they say, do I now have to pick up AI course certifications to survive in the job market?
Yeah.
And you know what's my answer? Absolutely not. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't forsake your core skills for something you don't know, because that's risky.
Yeah.
What you do have as a mid-career professional, people who are more than 15 years of working experience, is you already have a superpower, right? Use AI to amplify that superpower.
Yes.
You don't abandon your superpower, right? And they get it. The moment they say that, okay, I get it. Okay, then then you just have to you can take free courses by big technology companies. They offer, many of them do, right? Go take these courses to get a working knowledge of AI. You're good to go. You're good to go. Learn how to prompt. Prompting is like driving, right? If you learn how to drive a car, you can drive any car, right? Petrol car, EV, hybrid, you can drive any car. Same thing, steering wheel, right? You can even drive a bus or a truck. I mean, on paper, you do. So the same thing, right? Prompting is the same thing. Once you learn how to prompt with one LLM, you can use other LLMs as well.
Yes.
And driving that bus analogy, that's agentic.
Yes.
Right? So I tell them, learn how to prompt because that's like driving a car.
Yeah.
Right? And they get it. Okay, so the mid-career professionals, I'm not too worried. The ones that I'm a bit more worried are the young ones.
Why is that?
Because I don't really have a clear answer. I don't have a clear answer on where the future is heading, right? And I don't think anyone knows where we're going. And so for them, I think is a more fluid world where it's going to be more difficult to develop a core skill set for the next 10, 15 years and then have a stable job, because things are so fluid and things might change.
You reminded me just a I was on a panel, but that's about 2 years ago, with other panel members from other industries in Malaysia. And then the last question, the moderator asked all of us, like a closing statement. What would be your advice to young people that are about to graduate? What skill to focus on? So I was a little bit in the same situation like you now. So like, what am I gonna say there? And I said, and then all the other panelists, most of them said, yeah, you should get into programming. You need to learn this programming language, all that stuff. And I was like, guys, I don't know exactly what you should pick up, but what you should not pick up is programming. And they looked at me like I'm an alien. They say, man, that's the first thing that AI will do for us.
Exactly.
They were going to generate the code. So probably you want to understand how to use AI to generate the code. Fair enough. But I know from the industry sectors, we are already gadgeting around with using AI to generate a code that we then can deploy in the machine to do whatever we want the machine to do.
Exactly.
That's already happening. So don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah,
right. So I think a way to drive a conversation like that is maybe excluding, not if you can't pin down what to do, but let's try to pin down what maybe we should not waste time on.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. The advice for young people, and I say young people, I got to be more specific here. People between the ages of 18 to 30 years old, right? So I'm not saying young people as in like below 18 years old, right? I have young boys, I don't know how to handle them myself. But so 18 to 30 years old, I can handle them. So the way I would say it is, I think this is more general advice, not necessarily in the age of AI, but to know what you like, you first need to know what you don't like.
Yeah.
Especially if you're young, right? If you want to know what you like, you first have to know what you don't like. And that's a checklist you have to just cross things you don't like.
Yeah.
Because older people, they don't tell you this, but we've reached a level where we know these things are not for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is not for me.
Yeah.
So if you're young, just find out as many things as you don't like. And eventually when you reach 30-something, you're probably going to land on things that you like.
Yeah.
And those things that you like, hopefully are things that are things that you're doing at work, hopefully, right? If it's not, it's completely fine, but at least you're aware that you can develop those skills to become your core skill sets, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the advice I give for young people, right? Try to find as many things as you don't like. And eventually you're going to land on things that you like.
No, I think you're on the right path with that. Because if they find something they like, even if it's not, the most sexy, whatever it is, but if their passion is there, the chances that they're good at it is much higher than they pick something that sounds fancy but they have no
exactly
inner drive for that. I had a interesting conversation with one chamber there in Malaysia, and it's a young new manager that is finding his way to implement AI in the workflow of his organization. And the way he went about it, and that was interesting. It's a small team, I think he has 15 to 20 people. He went to each of them and said, what are the tasks that you hate the most as part of your role, right? Just list them down. He didn't tell them exactly where he goes with that. And then he had that summary and I said, you know what? We're going to now look how AI can do that task for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everybody he bought in to that idea immediately because he stirred the conversation of, I'm not using AI to replace you. I use AI to make your life easier so that you concentrate on what you like.
Yeah.
And rather on
Absolutely.
what you don't like. And I think that's a good way to go about
Absolutely good way. I'll just add a caveat to that, right? I think that applies when you have a level of competency as a more experienced corporate executive. But I don't think it applies if you're younger. So when you're younger, learn to do the hard things.
Yeah.
Learn how to do the hard things first. Learn how to do things that are not scalable. Learn how to do things that are not, they are automatable, but learn how to do it the manual way, the manual old school way, right? Learn that first. And once you have gone through that phase, then automate it. Because if you don't go through the hard phase that everyone else did, you reach a level where you probably don't know how to do the things that are so basic. And I think that's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
So as a young person below 30 years old, learn how to do the hard things the same way that everyone else before you did the same thing. Yeah.
I like that. So I mean, it brings me a little bit off topic on the AI part, but I would like to hear your thoughts about.
Sure.
How should I phrase it? Your stance on struggle. I observe in conversations I have with my niece and nephew. They are in mid-20, and they're always looking for going the quick way, the easy way. And I always tell them, man, you're underappreciating the benefit of struggle, of hardship, call it whatever it is, going through a rough time. That process alone is forming you as a character, as a person. If you miss out on a big part of makes us human.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have a better way to articulate it, but I heard some notions that you probably have a similar view. So
Yeah.
How is your stance on that?
This is such a good question, right? And I think this is why I think I find the discourse on Gen Z absolutely central to what I do these days. And I have a very controversial viewpoint. I find that older people talking down to young people is a strategic mistake in all sense. Whether it's in the governance, in politics, in business, in social settings. The way we talk to young people must be fair and reasonable. And I'll explain why. I think when we you have an absolutely important point, right? And usually when older people they talk to young people, they will say things like, "Oh, look at you young people, you're so lazy. Why don't you learn how to do the hard things, right?" And what would be the natural reaction of a young person? They switch off. They say, "No, you're wrong. You're a boomer, right?"
Yeah.
And then you get angry when people do that. But I think reasoning with them, saying that, when I was younger, I did these things, and because of that, I learned these things, right? And let them and give them the space to do it their own way.
Yeah.
I think that's the missing thing that we don't talk enough about.
Yes.
I have this point. Let me put it across to you, but I'll give you the space for you to discover this on your in your own way, right? That is absolutely important. Giving them the space, not necessarily empowering them, right? Do hard things, right? This is how I did it back in my time, dealing with different generations as well. You have different challenges.
Yeah.
You do it your way. But this is how I'm going to impart.
Yeah.
First part, right? Second part is reverse mentorship. What can I learn from these guys?
Yeah.
What can I learn from them? Right? I mean, they went through, young people. I have so much respect for young people. I'm not so old myself, but I'm Gen Y, firmly Gen Y camp. Right?
Okay.
But look at Gen Z. They went through so many things. They went through the GFC, global financial crisis, seeing their parents maybe suffer from that. They went through social media. We never had to deal with that. Social media, the anxiety that comes with it, right?
The bullying that happens there.
The bullying,
yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And pandemic, right? They went through 3 major shocks in their lives, right? And they see their parents go through it as well.
Yeah.
And so we need to be kinder to these guys. We have to be kinder to Gen Z.
Yeah.
Because the perception is these guys are picky, selective, they are weak and lazy. But they went through 3 major shocks in their lives.
Yeah.
And I have so much respect for them because I feel that I have so much to learn from these guys as well.
Yeah.
Right? As much as they have to learn from us, we also can learn from them.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely important.
Yeah, I mean, every time I'm in a conversation where it goes a bit into the direction to raise the finger to the younger folks, I always pause and tell to those at my age or older, I say, here and there you might have a point, but we are the generation that raised them. So maybe there's a bug already happening a generation before that we overlooked. So the level of accountability sometimes we overlooked that it didn't just happen.
Exactly.
Somebody was shaping it that way, right? So
I wonder who.
Yeah, I wonder who exactly, right? So that's the interesting part.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Coming back to your nation building school, how you link it up to the claims this current government is putting very strongly in the media. We want to be a AI nation. We want to shift from made in Malaysia to made by Malaysia.
Yep.
How you link up to these claims?
This is a big one. I want to be fair. I think the government that we have today, people say a lot of things, but I think one thing about this government is stable, absolutely stable, and they have stable and clear policies, right? The fact that our country, Malaysia, has a national AI office means that we're taking this seriously. We have a Ministry of Digital. We're taking it seriously. We have programs, policies that empower small, medium enterprises to upskill digitally. We're taking it serious, right? Obviously, there are rooms for improvement, like education curriculum can be improved to include AI at an earlier stage. A bit later now, I think we are only implementing in 2028, if I'm not mistaken. It should be earlier, but that's, I think, completely fine, right? The policy for us to be an AI nation by 2030, for me, is I was at that launch where they did that, and I think this is the right thing to do, because I think it's not so much about being AI powered or AI centric. No, I think the point is we're putting in place various policies, right, to tell the people we have to be ready for what's to come.
Yeah,
and I think that's absolutely important. That's absolutely, this is right. This is the right thing to do. Now, I think the gaps, especially with people, and this is not a Malaysian problem. This is actually, I think, a problem across all governments around the world, right? Is that how do you get a whole of a nation approach when it comes to AI? And I think that's absolutely difficult. How do you get stakeholders, uncles, aunties, kids, school children, everyone to come on board and understand that maybe we need to, for me, it's AI literacy, right? That's my focus, but other people have different ones, right? AI governance, AI, we talked about it just now, the tech race, right? Different focus. AI literacy for me is very important. How do we get every single Malaysian and resident in this nation, how do we get them AI literate?
Yeah.
How do we get them up to speed to understand, not to use it to do workflows or agentic AI, but just understand what is AI, when to use it, when not to use it, what are the limitations, and where we're going with this. If this is something that we can empower not just children or young people, but even like the uncles and aunties, I think we might be going in the right direction.
Yeah.
AI literacy as a main focus to make sure that people know what's coming. And I think it's going to be an almost impossible task. But if we can achieve something close to that, our nation can do whatever because we'll be prepared. We'll be ready for what's to come.
And what is national nation building school doing on this literacy part?
So we I didn't mention this, and I should. We actually have another NGO for inclusive AI, Inclusive AI Association.
Okay.
And what we do is, Nation Builder School focus primarily on career development, upskilling people, tackling unemployment, which is a massive issue, partly caused by things like AI. The other thing that I do, and it's primarily working with government agencies, civil society organizations, NGOs, to do these things that we're talking about. Not so much workshops, but policy. How do we shape policy to make sure that AI literacy is on the plan, right? And credit to Google, companies like Google. They have funded ASEAN Foundation to do AI literacy, Amazon Web Service, Amazon AWS, many big tech companies, including Meta as well. Credit to these guys. They're actually getting on board to make sure that AI literacy is on the table to teach teachers, to teach people on AI. So that's a focus, and I think it's not going to be easy, but I think someone has to do this work.
Yeah,
someone has to teach AI literacy to the mass public, not just companies and SMEs and public listed companies.
Yes, I was part of a conversation, a panel last week. Was around TVET. And then one thing came up, beside that TVET needs to include all these AI literacy programs, entry-level salaries. And there was this was half of that room was full of students.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then this stuff came up about salary, money.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies that were on the panel, they were complaining that we are educating, and then the better we educate, the higher the risk they leave for whatever neighboring country they can get better jobs.
Yeah.
And my take on that was, if we give the right vision for this country, what the country could be, maybe they wouldn't leave. And I gave an example of Vietnam has done a great job on that. So I used to be based in Vietnam for a couple of years, and that was in 2016 to 2020. And in the last 2 years I was there, what I observed, and I was really amazed, is young people, even those that were educated abroad, they came back not to find a job at the multinational, but to build their own startups and give back to the nation. So they had this vision in mind of what Vietnam could be, and it was not about making big load of money right now. It was like, I'm gonna make sure that this nation is set up so that in a couple of years we are just naturally, organically grow into that level where we have these income levels that are that the nation deserves. So they came from a vision view, and I gave that example to the young people and say, please, we need you to help building these nations.
Yeah.
Don't just run away. It's about what happens in 10, 20 years.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So that's why I like the idea of creating a vision and then have people buy into that vision.
This idea of brain drain, right? You're losing talents to other countries. Malaysia has 1.8 million people that have left the country since independence, 1957. And a majority of them, a million of them are in Singapore, across the Crossway. And the other million are in Australia, UK, and North America. People talk about brain drain as though it's a problem. I think it's not really a problem. There's brain drain, brain gain, and brain circulation. To your point, in Vietnam, they experience a brain circulation. People go out, they come back.
Yes.
People always come back. I mean, some of them eventually come back for various reasons, right? Family reasons, personal reasons. They miss home, they miss nasi lemak in Malaysia, stuff like that, right? And I feel that worry about what you said just now, right? Have a clear vision of where the country is going. Not just the government, but also companies. Companies also need to have a clear vision of where we're going, right? NGOs have to have a clear vision of where we're going, right? And if you have that, then that's why we call ourselves Nation Building School. It's because I think, there's going to be some times for survival. I think Malaysia is passed through survival phase. I think we are at a comfortable spot. And I think that this is where make or break. One thing that Malaysia doesn't get talked enough about is the fact that our talents are actually world class. There was a recruiter that I met in Singapore, and a headhunter actually, very big firm. And he said to me, Zaim, when we hire people from across the region, we actually look for Malaysians first. I said, no, I don't believe this. Singaporeans? No, not Singaporeans. Malaysians. Why? Because they said, our country, Malaysians in general, because we are able to code switch between so many cultures, right? You eat Indian food in the morning, you eat Chinese food in the afternoon, and then you eat Malay food at night, and then you speak various languages in one sentence. In a single sentence, you can have 3 languages, right?
Yeah.
we take it for granted, but the reality is Malaysians, because we're so culturally attuned to diversity, that is our greatest asset when we go overseas, when we work in companies, is that we're able to adapt extremely quickly, right? Look at the way we change our accent when we talk to people, right? And that is the greatest strength that we have as a country, and that actually comes from the culture.
Yeah.
Now, having policy and vision to that cultural superpower, I think is the reason why we can be a country that is going to be punching above our weight, above and beyond other countries in the region. But to your point, vision has to be clear.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes we don't give our country enough credit for what it is. It's an amazing country.
Yes.
Right? People from the outside want to live here.
Yes.
They want to come here.
I'm also here.
Where I'm here.
No, but that's a very, very, very valid point. Very, very point, and that we don't promote enough for men. If I may ask you a question on that note of vision setting, who is your biggest hero in Malaysia? Where you say that person is setting the visions the best, and you like to listen to that person?
Oh, this is a tough one. If you ask Malaysians in general, they will only, the name that usually comes up is Mahathir, right? The fourth prime minister, the fourth and seventh prime minister, but the man who basically is the father of modern Malaysia. I love the man, but I think he's okay. I mean, top five for sure, right? For me, it's a bit more personal. I think my dad was a corporate leader, right? Corporate man in his job, and I think that I learned so much from my dad because kids don't learn from what their parents say; they learn from what their parents do.
Yes.
Right. And and when it comes to my dad, I see a few things, right? He always had a clear vision on where, I mean, corporate company, the P&L. Yeah. Right? This is where we're gonna go. Right? That was amazing. Like the clarity of thought. We're gonna go here, true north.
Yeah.
But the second thing was discipline. Right? Like the fact that I saw him, he was always, I always saw him. He was always there. But the one thing that I truly think to take from what he did was every day he would come to work at 7:15. He would leave at 6:15, right?
You see?
Yeah.
7:15. Just looking to my colleague.
and then he will have dinner with us, right?
Yes.
Non-negotiable. But at 8:30, at home, he'll be working up until 11 o'clock, right? And people say, "Oh, I don't spend time with your kids." He does spend time with the kids. But he also has a vision. And what I take from that is every day, I got two young boys. I make sure they sleep first. I will work right after they sleep. And I always imagine, why do I do this? Because I picked it from my dad. The discipline of action, anchored on a true north, anchored on where we want to go.
That was a great last word. So, gentlemen, colleagues, that was Zaim Mohzani. I'm sure you enjoyed the episode. Stay tuned. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and dial in for the next one. Zaim, thank you very much for coming around.
Thanks for having me.